be broken in pieces. When the truth comes out, when the truth comes out, you can run, but you know it's ending.
Hey friends, how are we doing? It is another Friday, so we know what that means. It's a new episode of the podcast. So I got to tell you, I feel like today's episode, I feel like we're going to be doing a little bit of ranting, right? So there's so much going on in the world today. There's a ton of things we could talk about, but can I just talk about, this is going to be so odd, over entitled white women? Can we just talk about this subject for a minute? And bear with me and hang in there and listen to where I'm going to go with this. But there is this movement across TikTok and social media. And I don't know how this came about. It literally makes me nuts. It drives me crazy. But here's the thing. Yesterday I was scrolling on TikTok and there was this woman. I'll share you with her because she's a super delight. I bet she's joyful at all the PTA meetings. Her name is Doubles. And there's a lot of comments on her page because they're like, you're just like a rage baiter. She's kind of, I don't know, she's out there, but to each his own, right? Do you, boo? But one of the videos she puts up, she's going off. Like she's going on. And I have seen this all week long with the case of Adriana Smith. Okay. Most of you are very, very familiar with what has gone on with this. This was a young lady who I believe I want to say it was back in February. I'm not 100% sure, but she had gone to the hospital. She had severe headaches. She was pregnant. I think at the time she was maybe like 9 weeks along. But needless to say, she was early gestation. She was in her first trimester. And had these horrible headaches. She's a nurse. She went to the ER. She got sent home. Not doing well. Something in her said with her own medical background, something else is wrong. So she goes back in and she finds out she's got blood clots. And in not very long time at all, she is declared brain dead, which is devastating. It had to be devastating for her family. She has another little boy. It had to be devastating for him, husband, mom, all the things. It's a very sad story. In the state of Georgia, there are some laws. There are abortion laws. There's a heartbeat law. I don't know all the information about it, but essentially at the end of the day, because this woman was pregnant, they were basically able to keep her body alive. In some sense, it's like she's an incubator, right? So for the baby to grow, and this was something that was taking place and became very controversial. But here's where I got lost on the whole thing and the whole topic and what tans my hide. And I've been seeing all these, I looked into the story because I wanted to see what was the family's perspective, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm going to be honest with you, our opinion, my perspective, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. I'm not personally involved in this situation. And there is whatever happens with it is not going to affect me personally. But that family, it's going to affect them deeply, traumatically, on so many levels. And it can be something where from an empathetic or sympathetic point of view from afar, we can all feel a sense of hurt and angst and sadness and grief for this family. But there is something odd happening on social media where we think that we are their advocates and then we can turn into psychotic lunatics and get on here and speak like just complete nut jobs, like seriously. But here's where I'm seeing it the most from. This is a Black family. This was a young Black woman. And I am seeing more Stepford wives with their cupcakes at their PTA meetings and their Donna Reed dresses getting on Facebook and acting like complete and utter asshats, speaking about this family in such a way that they think that they're being a voice and they think that they're being an advocate. But really all they're doing is clickbaiting and rage baiting and using it for followers and to get into the conversation. Because here's the thing. I don't give a shit what your opinion is about the situation. I am more of like a problem solver. So if you see a problem and you think there's a problem with the law or whatever, which this one lady, I don't even think she's from fucking Georgia. But here's the thing. Do something about it. Shut your face, put your little whisk down, get out of the kitchen and go down and talk to your local congressman or write a letter or write an email or do a sit-in or do something to protest it. How about protesting that? Instead of protesting no kings in a country where there's no effing kings. And when you woke up the next day, you still had the same president and he's going to be your president for another 3.5 years, whether you like it or not. Like, you don't have to like it, right? So there's that. But doing something so bizarre as like protesting no kings in a country where if there were actually kings, you wouldn't be able to stand out there with your crazy signs and your bandanas over your face going, no kings, no kings. The most bizarre thing to see millions of people go out and do that. And some people are like, well, Jen, that just means there's millions of people that hate him. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Here's the deal. 75 million people voted for Kamala. I'm surprised there wasn't 15, 20 million people out there because you really have had nothing to do but bitch since this man got into office. So really, like, just be quiet and sit down. But at the end of the day, you literally accomplished nothing. Nothing. Like nothing came from that other than a bunch of you going out, ignoring the beautiful weather and summer day that it was, and the level of hate that was so consuming to make you ignore the fact that as a country, let's not forget, this wasn't about Trump's birthday. I don't give a shit about Trump's birthday. I don't care to sing happy birthday, have a cupcake, blow out a candle, whatever. So the guy's birthday fell in line. He didn't plan it. He wasn't around 250 years ago when the army came into fruition. Okay? And so they were celebrating in Washington the birthday of our army, of our military forces. And here's the thing. You don't have to like him, but you could have put your stupid no king sign down and still showed respect to the country that you live in and still honored the army, because you having the ability to go out and do all this crazy ass bullshit that you're doing with all your protesting and all. And listen, I'm an advocate for protesting. I think you should do it. You can talk all day long and tell me how lovely and peaceful, and a man lost his life that day because of some lunatic. And I don't care if he voted red or blue or whatever. Like, people are losing lives. Cities are being burned down. It's just chaotic and insane. You want to try to convince yourself it's peaceful? I don't know. Go get your gummy bear in a safe space and convince yourself of that. But this other bullshit where nobody's doing anything that's producing something. So I'm like a results-driven kind of human being. So what is it producing? What came out of that protest? Now, let's go back to Adriana Smith. You, Miss Doubles, getting online. She got all pissed off. She got like her little Donna Reed panties in a bunch. And I don't know, she's going to have to go hang out with the girls and have some wine and spritzer over her Caesar salad and talk about how upset she is. Because she made it clear I pissed her off because she said I shouldn't put her kids' names in my mouth, which, by the way, I don't know who her kids are, how many she's got. But I basically said to her, maybe focus on the children you have at home or get a hobby, but stay out of this. And the reason that I said that is because after researching the Adriana Smith situation, not one time has this family looked for advocacy. Not one time. So let me read something to you to tell you like what I'm talking about and how frustrating this is. So I went in, and this is an article. They interviewed the mom, Adriana's mom. And the family of Adriana Smith is remaining optimistic about the future of the unborn baby because at the time the baby hadn't been born yet. After going to the hospital in February 2025 with a headache, doctors discovered that Smith had blood clots on her brain and she was soon declared brain dead. Due to abortion laws in her home in the state of Georgia, her family was keeping the body alive on life support. As she lay in the hospital, her baby continues to grow. Her mother recently shared update on this development. So let's talk about that. The baby is actually doing better than the last time I met with the doctors, Newkirk told News 11. According to Newkirk, Adriana Smith is getting steroids and nutrition via a PICC line. The baby, who the family has named Chance, has a strong heartbeat and is measuring slightly above the gestational age, the woman explained. He has little toes and arms and limbs, and everything is forming. Currently, Smith is 22 weeks pregnant. She's on life support at Emory University Hospital. Doctors are planning to keep her on machines until the baby is delivered. She said, we didn't have a choice to say anything about it. She said, however, we want the baby. That's a part of my daughter, but the decision should have been left to us, not the state, which I agree. However, Georgia Attorney General, claims that that's untrue, that there is nothing in the Life Act that requires medical professionals to keep a woman on life support after brain death. Whether or not it's true, seeking machines keeping her daughter alive makes grieving hard, which I can only imagine. I'm not going to say I understand. I can only imagine. Every time we go to see her, we grieve and we hurt. The grieving process can't begin until she's just lying there. Currently, they're just trying to stay focused on August and Chance's birth. So right now, that was how they were feeling back then. But they made it very clear, and they went on to say, we want this baby. They did not want the baby removed or aborted or any of that. So you have all these women And this one woman, she's like, clearly, Jennifer, you're pro-choice, you're pro-life because, you don't know anything about me. If you had more of an attention span than that of a fruit fly and you looked at my page or you looked at my TikTok, you would see I'm actually very middle of the road. For me, as a personal human being, I'm pro-life at this stage of my life. For any other woman walking on this earth, none of my business. None of my business. That's between you, the good Lord. If you don't serve and seek the good Lord, that's between you and whatever gives you peace at the end of the day. But that's your choice. That's your body, your choice. You figure it out. That's for you to work through. It's not me. So if you knew anything about me, you would know, no, I'm not actually. What I choose for me and my body is up to me. What the rest of you millions of women are choosing, that's a thing that's on you. And that's something you will sort out throughout your life. But this woman starts to pop off and let me just share it with you. Because literally, this is the comment that I made to her. Please find a hobby and focus on your own child in the background, because this family is not asking for a bunch of middle-class white women to make them their advocacy. Like, they're not looking for advocacy. They're not asking our opinion. They're not asking us for a GoFundMe. They're not asking us to find them attorneys. They're not asking us to do anything. So you know what's okay to do sometimes, friends? Shut up. Just be quiet. Just be quiet and let this family, you know why else they can't grieve? Because there's lunatics online making this their battle, their journey, their deal, and it's not. It's not yours to have. So yeah, I am going to tell you to get a life and focus on your own children. I don't know. You could have one, you could have 21. I don't give a shit how many kids you have. What I do give a shit about is that this family has been so impeded upon by the opinions of millions of people across America who have issues with pro-life and pro-choice. And so they wanted to make this their argument, that they failed to realize that the way that they were speaking about her daughter, his wife, the little boy's mother, was deplorable. But hey, let me just play this for you, because this is interesting. And let me just, trigger warning. She's a little frightening looking. It was weird. When I pulled it up, I'm like, oh my God, she's recording this in the dark in the middle of the night in her car. It's bizarre. But yeah, here we go. Let's take a little gander. Let's listen to her opinion.
How are you? How are your two boys? They look great. My kids aren't on social media, so let's keep them out of your mouth. The last content creator that tried to bring my kids into the conversation told me that I was scaring her in a private DM. So let me know if you want to keep bringing them into the conversation. But find a hobby, focus on your own child in the background. So that proves to me that you have nothing to bring to the conversation. So obviously you're pro-life and I'm pro-choice. But let's stay on topic. Can you stay on topic? Can you bring something into the conversation? Or no, you just want to try to piss me off. You succeeded because we don't bring my kids into the conversation. Am I clear? So if you want to add to the conversation and actually have a debate about pro-choice and pro-life, bring it on. I'll have a productive, kind conversation with you. But if you want to talk about my kids and bring them into the conversation, it's not going to be productive and it's not going to be kind. Hi, Jen.
Something off about that young lady. I don't know what it is. But here's the thing. She doesn't care. She starts off by going, hi, Jennifer, how are you? She doesn't give a shit how I am. She doesn't care how I am. She really could care less. There's something bizarre and off about her a little bit. And then she goes on to say, and the last person that did, what did you do to the last person that did this? What did you do to the last person that told you to carry on and move on and stop making other people's drama and trauma and sadness and issues and grieving your problem? It's not your problem. And I did nothing of the sort about bringing your children into the conversation. Again, like I said, I really, quite frankly, don't care. I'm doing my own thing. And then she does this weird passive aggressive thing to go on to say, I see that you have 2 children, which is bizarre because, I do, but one of them is 32 and an adult. So whatever. And the other one is 13. And when you see my children on social media, it's because I'm sharing life experiences and moments and things that I'm doing with them and all the other things. And that's my prerogative. You don't have to put your kids on social media. That's fine. My son doesn't. My granddaughter's never seen the light of day when it comes to social media. And I respect that decision. But if you're trying to be passive aggressive and say, I see that you have 2 kids with these weird, she looks like Dory from Finding Nemo. It's bizarre. It was strange. But at the end of the day, here's the deal. I will go toe to toe with you all day long because you have the attention span of a fruit fly and you took no time to do anything but go through my account to see if you could find if I had children. Because that was the thing. You could tell she got a little triggered, like you brought my children into the conversation. No, I didn't. I told you to go play with your children. I told you to go enjoy your children. I told you to go and make memories with your children instead of milking and getting views off the grieving of another woman's child and grandchild. Like, get a life. And the most disheartening thing about it is I'm seeing it from all these Stepford wife looking middle to upper class women who are sitting around with their chips and salsa and their margs talking about how pro-life they are or pro-choice they are or whatever it is. And as if this is their argument. It's not. It's not yours to have. And it's getting old and exhausting to listen to all of this. It's a very, very bizarre behavior, honestly. And like I said, I have a friend back home, exceptionally intelligent young lady. She wrote a book. I absolutely love and adore her. And I know that we're on different sides of the aisle. I know she voted blue and she knows I voted red. Okay. But we've had some funny banter going back and forth, conversations online. Because here's the thing, as a human being, I respect her. She's got some great point of views. From the Samaritan place of my heart, she and I are right in line with one another. I know that we see the world differently through a different lens when it comes to certain things with other policies and agenda. And I'm okay with that. And I hope that she's okay with it with me. I feel like we have, somewhat of a loving friendship from afar. But here's the deal. She also made a comment about this whole Adriana Smith thing, but it was in such a way that was so reflective of the law. And if something could be done and change, like when I see people that are looking and calling for change, she didn't go on to talk about, there was another woman. She didn't go on to talk about, and this is what I think we forget as people. The internet is forever. Okay. So this shit that I'm saying right now, if I regret it one day, sorry, not sorry, Jen, it's going to be, you all are going to be able to pull it up. Okay. I've done some really stupid shit since the internet came into life, and good grief, you'll all be able to see it. But here's the deal. This woman who lost her young daughter, this husband who lost his wife, this little boy who lost his mother and are grieving, are having to listen to complete and utter lunacy. And this is what I mean when I say you lose me when you try to come off as an advocate, but you're really not. You're just looking for followers and you're looking for attention. And you're getting it. Some of you, you're getting it because you're making it seem like you're this keyboard warrior who's got a war to fight, and it really was never your war. But here's the other one that threw me just like right over. And I thought, when you think that you don't need medication after behaving this way, that makes me question a lot of things. And it's quite concerning that I said it yesterday. I feel like the world has gone into some weird scientific experiment that then turned into a social experiment, and someone left the cages open. And it's like, I can't understand it. I can't understand it, how people can do and act and speak like this. But you have to remember what I said to you, because this is going to stay public forever and it won't go away. The things you're saying about this family, regardless of how it emotionally triggers you, whatever your friggin' triggers are, get a therapist, work through it. Stop using other people's traumatic events as your trigger to have a sounding board on the internet. Like, literally, get a friend. That's why I said get a friend, get a cup of coffee, just like do something, talk about it. We've lost the ability to have relationships because nobody can talk about anything anymore. They're just like, they're going nuts on the internet. And it drives me, I don't understand. If I'm having a personal issue and something is breaking down or something has triggered me, I'm either going to call my therapist. My best friend back home in Rhode Island, she called me this morning. She's like, can I vent? We were talking about her real estate situation. That's just the way it goes, right? She's selling her house in Rhode Island, venting, talking about no-shows and all that thing. She didn't get on the internet and bitch about the realtor that didn't show up with the client. Like, what is the matter with people? But this is the stuff that will stay on. So if you think by being pro-choice, and this is what pro-choice looks like, and this is how you talk about this family, I don't want to be on that side of the aisle. That's why I don't register Democrat and I don't register Republic, because I think they go a little wild. But here. That bitch?
She was literally fucking wrong. That's why 3 months old. Because her was literally decaying. She's not alive. And stop using that fucking picture of her in a blue dress. That was her first baby.
I'm done listening to that. I'm not even going to play the rest of it for you. But if you think on that side of the aisle that sounds normal to you, and that's how we should be, that's your level of advocacy, do you think that family woke up and saw that and said, yeah, power to the people? You just called her daughter a decaying corpse. What is wrong with you? And called her a bitch. Help me make it make sense. So all of you, I'm done with you. I need you all to take a seat. Get some ketamine or Prozac or Ativan or a bottle of wine or do something. Go on a beach vacation. Find something to get the level, because the Democratic Party is the one that claims to be all about love, but you are so riddled with anger and hate and detest, and it's gross and it's ick. And it just needs to be leveled the F out. So figure out, find Jesus. You don't need ketamine. You know what you need? You need Jesus. Like genuinely, you do. And I don't say that with sarcasm, because I'm telling you, I grew up in a very blue state. I am from Rhode Island. I am originally from Rhode Island. And it is hard for me to sometimes maintain. And listen, Jesus and I are having conversations all the time. I'm just like, Lord, forgive me. I'm sorry, because my mouth and my attitude and my heart just got out of control there. And so if you can only imagine, if this is me now, you can only imagine I was like that weird little young lady that was just riddled with so much anger. I came out of a very, very blue state. When I moved to Colorado, it was red. I'll just put that out there. Now, Governor Polis, thank you very much for destroying one of the most beautiful states in the country. But with that being said, I had so much anger that my son and I have, like, we can laugh and joke about it now, but I would be so pissed off at the Sprint guy, my customer service rep, that I would lose my mind to the point where I would lose my voice and I would say the most horrible things and just literally be like, I don't know, I would be so downgrading this person as a human. And just because I was angry. And so they got unleashed with all my childhood trauma until I was able to work it out. And so I feel like a lot of you have some serious trauma that gets triggered by anything. This cup, look, see this cup right here. I'm telling you, there's probably 100,000 people today that want to throw themselves off a bridge just for seeing this cup. It's some sort of weird syndrome. And you think because I'm drinking out of that cup, I'm some sort of weird Trumper or racist or bigot or, you know, all the weird, crazy things. Here's the thing about voting. And some of you have to get an understanding of this because you haven't been able to grasp this concept. There is no one candidate that I could ever vote for that I would be on board with every single policy, with everything. When we go to the voting booth and, you know, whatever you want to call it these days, but when we go and cast our ballots, we literally are trying to say, okay, what is lining up and misaligning the most with each candidate and make a decision. It's why I've been registered independent for quite some time, because I don't lean far left and I don't lean far right. I really just lean in the way where I'm like, Lord, lead me. I want the Lord. I need like God to lead me. And there are things that I know some people will say, how can you say you're a Christian when you voted for Donald Trump? Because he's flawed and he's human. How could I say I was a Christian if I voted for Kamala? She was on her knees and getting BMWs and taking trips to Paris and doing all kinds of things and having an affair with a married man. And she literally put people in jail for their kids having truancy infractions. And some of the kids some of the parents she jailed, their kids were critically ill. They were like terminally ill. She jailed a family once. Like, there's a lot of things that these people do in their life along the lines with politics that could make any of us go, ugh. Ick. But for me, for the things that aligned with me, the policies, the procedures, the agendas, the things that matter to me, that's the way that I leaned vote. I'm not MAGA. I'm not far right. I'm not like all of these things. Okay. And I have a lot of friends that I think I've listened to them that are on the Democratic side of things, yet they've seen some Republican candidates and they're just like, hey, that kind of makes sense. If you can't have a country with some bipartisanship, we are a ship that is sinking because it can't be all one way or all the other. There has got to be compromise. There has got to be communication. We're losing sight of that. And I don't know what to do about that. But these Looney Tunes that are getting on here and taking that Adriana Smith family and making it their battle, it's not their battle. They're not looking for advocacy. And you know what? They called Chance their baby. They said they wanted him. They didn't ask for him to be. They just didn't like the fact that the option wasn't theirs. And I wouldn't like that either. But whether it was theirs or not, they were still going to lean in the direction of keeping her alive for the baby to be born. So who are you to call judgment on that? Take your pro-choice argument on some other state capital steps and do something about it. But don't use that family. Don't exploit that family. And I know it sounds weird. I live in a community that has six golf courses. I was making a joke about this last night. Where I live, it's a lovely place to live. I love where I live. You can drive around the neighborhood in a golf cart. You can go up to the little town tavern and get yourself a little cocktail, do all the things. I hang out with my friends by the pool. Listen, I don't have it rough. I feel very blessed and I'm very lucky. But I am not going to take that as some sense of entitlement to think that I am out to save the poor person. These people are not some sort of charity for you. They are not something to make you feel better about the fact that you're not in school anymore with your kids and you got nothing to do at the PTA and you got no cupcakes to make. Go find a hobby. I mean it when I said that. Go find a hobby. Genuinely. Because you lose the ability to make us look like when we genuinely have a heart to do something and we can make a difference, like do something that's making a difference. Coming online and calling that woman's daughter a bitch and calling her a dead, decaying body. Oh, yeah, I'm sure they went home and all talked about you and lifted you up to the Lord. Are you kidding me? And then the other crazy person that's like, go ahead, put my children's name in your mouth. I mean, she's like something like Tales out of the Crypt. That just freaked me out. I literally took a step back when she came up and I'm like, well, sorry, not sorry. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm a whole lot of holy. I am. I love the good Lord with my whole heart. I seek him every day and I disappoint him every day. But there's still a good higher percentage of hood in me. Go ahead, threaten me, make threats to me again. That just is not going to work well in your favor. And you want to debate it all day long? We can debate it. I live for this kind of shit because I'm telling you, I'm facts over fiction. I'm tired of all the emotional baiting that is being done online. If you don't have facts for me, I don't want to hear about it. That is not a fact. That woman would have kept her baby alive regardless. You just don't like it because it tied in with the whole abortion ban law and the Georgia heartbeat law and all the things. So you made it your triumphant, like whatever you want to call it. I can't even call it a battle or a war because nobody was at the front lines with you. Nobody gives a shit. And that's the problem. So listen, I hope you all go out and have the day you deserve. And I mean that from my whole heart. I hope that here's something that I hope that you can see in me. It might set some of you up and be like, oh my gosh, I am a Christian. I accepted Christ in 2001. I was baptized that April. I accepted him in January, and I have been seeking and serving him ever since for the last 24 years. And I know that there are some days that he's disappointed and he's probably thinking to himself, oh, honey, if you could have just done it with a little bit less temperament, or if you could have used a little bit more, like, softened your verbiage or whatever. But I will say this, my goal in everything that I do every single day is I do want to be honoring and I do want to lift up God. But I'm telling you, I'm getting to this place where we are not finding compromise. We are not finding conversation. We can't talk about Christianity anymore. We can't talk about abortion anymore. We can't talk about gay marriage anymore. We can't talk about life in general anymore because everybody is so, I'm here or I'm here. And nobody is wanting to come to the middle and go, why are you here? Nobody's asking the big question, why? So how are you getting answers that make sense if you don't ask why? I watched some people at the protest the other day and they had, reporters out there and they said, okay, tell me what it is that you're protesting today. And this woman screamed at this lady and she's like, you're a racist. And she went, how am I a racist? Because you are. I'm going to assume you voted for Trump. And she said, well, as a matter of fact, I did vote for Trump. And that makes you a racist. Can you explain to me how that makes me a racist? I don't know. If I voted for Kamala, would that make me a cheating whore? In that sort of premise, that's basically what you're saying. You know what I mean? Like, you're basically saying, like, if you feel like he's done or said or did something, and because you voted for this party, maybe this person just voted Republican, and that was their only option. I know some people voted Democrat just because they will vote Democrat no matter who the other party is, and that Kamala was the only option. I knew a lot of people that were like, can we get someone different? And let's not talk about the no kings thing when you're talking about a woman who had no primary, no nothing to be voted in by constituents into that position. She was force-fed into it after they threw Biden under the bike that he fell off of. Give me a break. Let's get it together, America. Let's start having conversations and stop attacking one another. But yeah, as far as you, Miss Doubles, sure, you want to go at it and you want to debate it, let's do it. I'll do it with you all day long, but don't come at me like that again. I will have a very loving, productive conversation with you. But, someone telling you not to use someone else's trauma as an excuse for you to get on here and have clickbait, yeah, it's okay. It's a pretty fair assumption, because based on the comments that I'm seeing on your page, that's the general consensus. It's not just me. So anyways, I love you all. I hope you have the most amazing weekend. Enjoy the weather. The majority of the country is under this insane heat wave. So make sure you guys stay hydrated. Have a good time. Enjoy your friends and family. And yeah, truth be told, till next time.